Welcome to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. Each week, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from women entrepreneurs who transformed their prestige prisons into daring entrepreneurial success stories. Now, here is your host, Lulu Nins.
Welcome to episode 17 of She Rebel Radio, why your business is an evolutionary journey and shit has to change, ladies. And that includes you. So it's really an honor to have all the messages that I've had from you, from guests on the show, from clients, from those in the She Rebel Club, from people that I've met at networking events, from people on just social media platforms sending me beautiful messages saying how much they're enjoying She Rebel Radio. And we have some reviews on iTunes as well. So a big plea from me, if you love the show, to share that either on iTunes or any other platform that you may be listening to the show on. And I wanted to share with you one of the reviews we've had so far. So with 5 stars, Beach Girl at 49 says, the insight, advice and guidance that Lulu shares is an absolute must for women starting out in business or looking to make that change in their life. Lulu talks with real honesty and integrity and openly shares information and tips that have helped shape her own success. I'm absolutely loving this podcast. Thank you so much, Beach Girl at 49, for sharing that. And I'm going to share more of those as the weeks go on and the episodes expand on She Rebel Radio. So apologies today for my very husky voice. I've had a cold and a wedding, and then the cold came back again, and it's quite chesty. So I'm hoping, kind of a husky, sexy voice for you all today. And it is an honor to share with you it is 5 years into my business journey. I started my first business in June 2014, but I say I've always been in business, having worked in my parents' shop from the age of 12. That's highly illegal. But I have always thought as a business owner, and I was always very commercially aware. I never thought of myself as a lawyer for 11 years at the same firm. I never thought of myself as an employee. I was always interested in the business as a whole, and that was just the way that I'd been conditioned and trained to think. But it's coming up to 5 years at the end of November that I left my job without much of a plan, with my first business in the very early baby sowing the seeds stages, far more than I realized at the time. So it's been a very interesting and evolutionary journey over the last 5 years. I quite often joke that I thought I was just starting a business, and that's kind of the truth. I didn't realize the growth, which is a big value of mine, and it's a big part of what I bring into the pillars of my coaching and the Rebel Heart Club Mastermind, is that personal growth and development, which is so essential to you stepping out and stepping into your business, which is an evolutionary journey. And as I said, always straight up and bold and up front, which is how I roll, shit has to change, and that includes you. So, ladies, as humans, we are here to grow and evolve. We are here to experience, we're here to support the planet and humanity now more than ever. Yet so often we forget that is a massive, massive part of your business, is this evolutionary journey. So what we're going to jump into during this episode is those gradual baby steps that are needed. I'm going to talk to you about the feminine, what I call the feminine spiral of success, versus the rigid goals and expectations. And then I'm going to share with you a little bit more about that evolutionary journey and how I can support you with that if that is where you're at. So looking at evolution, what's the opposite of evolution? Unchanged. No change whatsoever. We're seeing that dig in the political world at the moment, which massively needs an evolution and a change, in my humble opinion, of these two sides that are polar opposites, that are constantly playing games with each other and have no real interest in the evolution of humanity and the planet. But I digress. Evolution is about advancement, improvement, It's about maturing, enhancement, flourishing, metamorphosis, the caterpillar into the butterfly, whatever you want to call it. It's becoming a different version of you. And I believe all businesses should be there to support humanity and the planet and the advancement of all of that as a whole. But that always starts, because again, what we see, this is becoming a bit more political than I anticipated today, but again, what we see is everyone pointing the finger with things that need to change without actually looking at themselves and what needs to change within before it then appears in the outside world. And that is what personal development's all about, right? So starting a business will force you to really have that metamorphosis, to have that advancement, that improvement, that maturing and that enhancement. It certainly will if you are going to make a success of it. That is guaranteed. And it is a real process of things that you do not know, like learning to drive, like if you were learning how to fly a plane, or a client said to me the other day about learning to surf. You know, it's gradual. You might be on the surfboard, on the beach, then moving it into the water, then learning to ride the waves. You have to learn how to ride the waves. And in terms of a plane taking off, I love flying. I know a lot of people don't. I absolutely love it. And takeoff and landing is my favourite, because it's that acceleration and the plane gets faster and faster as it goes on the runway. And that's what it's like creating a business and building momentum in that. So it starts to become faster, it starts to become easier, things start to happen without you having to be the force behind and the push behind it happening all the time. And that starts to happen when you have your evolutionary journey. We live in a society now which is used to instant gratification, and social media, you know, and lots of people out there encourage this immediate gratification within your business, and that everything can be overnight. But it's not quite the case, because people celebrate in public what they've practiced behind closed doors for many, many years. They've been working on this stuff. It hasn't been instant. But yet, because we live in an instant society and in terms of instant gratification, you know, I remember as a child, I am a Xennial, that weird micro generation, that we'd go for a night out and you would wait outside Boots for your photographs, either for a week, or we'd pay like a pound extra or a couple of pound extra to go and like have a horrible Burger King, or something like that. Uncle Sam's in Brighton, that's what it was all about. To wait for that hour and then get our photos from the night out. And there was usually one decent one, if that was even decent, from a smoky nightclub of our night out. Whereas now you can take 10 or 20 selfies and pick one, which is a great skill to have, by the way, when you run a business, learn how to take a decent selfie. A lot of my selfies actually get more interaction than any professional shots and things that I've had. So I had to learn that, though. It was an evolutionary process in me learning how to take a decent selfie, which wasn't something that was in my comfort zone. But people want to know the face behind the business. Any business, particularly in coaching, it's such a personal relationship. People need to feel like they know me. And in order to do that, I have to know myself. So it's been a very much an evolutionary journey in getting to know myself more and more, which is really important for us women in our 30s anyway, and guys as well. That in your 20s, you spend so much time trying to please other people, get approval, do what you think that you should be doing, even getting approval from your friends. In your 30s, you really give yourself permission to really give yourself that approval. That's part of maturity and advancement. And certainly as a woman running a business, you really need to be able to give yourself that approval, which is maturity. So how does that happen? It's really a gradual and granular journey, which by that I mean very small steps before the big leaps, or a big leap and then baby steps. And there are different times of the journey of that evolutionary process where sometimes you're taking big leaps, bold decisions, and sometimes you're taking little baby steps and doing a lot of the internal work, which actually feels like nothing much. It's changing in the external. And that can lead to a lot of frustration and feeling like, comparing to other people who are on social media are smashing it left, right, and centre because they haven't talked about particular parts of that journey. But believe me, they must have been through this stuff. The gradual, the granular, it is a marathon far more than it is a sprint. And certainly if you want sustainability in your business and you don't just want to go for the low-hanging fruit and the things that are so widely available and easily available, I talk about this in the episode of Integrity in Your Pricing, i.e. overpricing and under-delivering equals no happy clients. You've got a load of low-hanging fruit, but you haven't got a business which continues to feed itself because you haven't sown those seeds. You haven't also been a vibrational match for the level of income that you're asking for and all of that kind of thing, because it really is an evolutionary journey, step by step. And one of the first business books I read in my journey was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and I massively recommend that book because it's all about the little things that we do that lead to that compound effect, that lead to being 1% better than the person down the road that is doing the same thing as you. Put my teeth back in there. And the real difference as well with the evolutionary journey in terms of being a business owner and having a business is that often those granular, those gradual baby steps, you have to take without knowing what the outcome is. You have to take and trust your gut and follow your intuition, even when it makes no sense, especially when it makes no sense. Because actually, when you look forward, it doesn't make much sense. It's only when you look backwards as a business owner, you start to see why you maybe had a business of a different type before the thing that you've moved into, why you've left your job when you have, why you've worked with that person, why you've gone on that trip. And it's only really when you look back that the dots connect. And I think it was Steve Jobs who says that. And it's so true. Whereas in a career of prestige, a position of prestige, it's a very linear path. You know the outcome, you know all the steps that you have to take before you get there. But the journey of a business owner is very, very different. And often I talk about the feminine journey is a lot more foggy because we're really creating new narrative, new platforms, new ways of doing business that feels good to us, that hasn't really been seen before. So even more, there is the unknown, and we have to step into the unknown and the evolution that comes with that and go for the high-hanging fruit, but sow the seeds, build the foundation first. Super, super important. And that's a big part of what I support my clients with the Rebel Heart Club Mastermind. Now, I talk about the spiral of success as well. And if you've ever been to one of my workshops, I will do a terrible drawing and show you this. It's a creation by me. Again, I call it the feminine spiral of success because there is not just one destination. The heroine's journey is very different. And there are many, many destinations on that mountain, on that spiral, however you want to view it. There are many stops and many views and many places to be absorbed in rather than following this linear path, this corporate ladder, this just, mindless striving to the top, which with the evolutionary journey, it's actually about enjoying that journey as well. And in that first year where my income was lower than I'd had it for many, many years, I had lots of space. I had lots of time down the beach. I had a lot of this not moving so much because I was doing the internal work that wasn't necessarily reflecting much in my external, but I was changing at a cellular level. I was processing things differently, understanding things differently. And then when I felt more ready to move, then came the action part of what it was that I was doing or what it was that I was changing. So there are many destinations, not just one. And it is organic, it's fluid, it's changeable, it's sustainable. And it's about creating a business that can grow and evolve as you do, that there is not this one stop, this one strict outcome. Because as well, when you restrict yourself to that, and it's funny, when I was pondering this week as to the topic of what the podcast was going to be about this week, and then it comes up with clients, as it always does, they were talking to me about rigid goals and expectations, and actually realizing that these rigid goals and expectations they were putting on themselves was leading to disappointment, overworking, feeling like they needed an approval panel that didn't exist, and really having conversations about softening those goals. And I talk about intentions a lot rather than those strict, rigid goals, having soft intentions, which I did at my workshop at the beginning of this year and at my mastermind events, including in Goa, which I should have got a chunk of some comments from clients together, of just seeing intentions that are not so rigid and actually not so measurable, which is the opposite of what often we're taught in terms of SMART goals. It needs to be measurable, you need to know whether you've achieved it, etc., etc. There is a place for that, absolutely, but you need some softer intentions, particularly in the early stages where you're not sure where it is that you're going, or you may have the bigger vision and the little next steps, but you don't know what the middle bit is all about. Then these softer intentions really allows things to unfold around you, instead of you restricting your thinking by having these rigid goals and this linear approach, which then actually stops some of the amazing stuff that is going to come in your way and is going to develop for you and is going to be the right thing for you, because you also have a good 6 months, maybe 12 months, sometimes 2 years of really exploring all the different things before all the pieces start to come together. But trust it, trust the unfolding. That is the evolutionary journey. And it's really exciting when you look at it like that. And to really make a real intention is to have fun with that journey and not be striving after rigid goals and rigid expectations, which result in disappointment and all of that horrible stuff, which is why one of the reasons you're wanting to make the massive change and be the woman in control of her destiny and in her significance, and have a business that supports your bid for freedom. As I say, every rebel wants freedom, every she-rebel wants freedom for herself and others. And that's what the She Rebellion is all about, ladies. So if you would like my support with your evolutionary journey, that is exactly what the Rebel Heart Club Mastermind is. It is the 6 to 18-month evolutionary program, which is supporting you breaking free from what prestigious position or even prestigious business that you've had or currently are holding on to, your elements of prestige within that's not allowing you to step into being the woman of significance or the woman with a business of significance to you, which is really about breaking out and doing things your way, not in the way that you've been taught or shown to do things, but really, really creating your own thing. That's what I'm all about. And clients of mine that have said they've got such gratitude for the process, they're absolutely loving the journey and their intentions unfolding and their continued growth, because that's what the Rebel Heart Club Mastermind is all about, while you're supported by an amazing group of women, as well as me, as well as self-study, as well as live events around the world, as well as group calls and one-to-ones. It's a minimum of 6 months, but quite often my clients sign up with me again because they are loving the journey and everything that unfolds from it. But this all starts, ladies, with a decision to break out from where you're at right now, from the busy work, from the prestige, from the career, from the business, whatever it might be for you that is currently keeping you stuck from doing what it is that you really want to get out there and do in the world. So as a result of that, I am hosting the Breakout Strategy Workshop in Brighton on the 17th of January. I would love to have you there. We have early bird tickets available throughout the whole of November. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes to the breakout workshop. So you can find the link there, or contact me, Lulu Mins, in the She Rebel Club, or via email, lulu@lulumins.com, for more information. And what we're going to do at the workshop, which is going to be small and intimate, and many of my mastermind clients are going to be there. So it's going to be an amazing event at the Hot Spa and Harbour Club Hotel in Brighton. But we're going to pinpoint the block that is, or blocks in plural, that is preventing you from breaking out more fully. into your business of significance, into your side hustle. We're going to pinpoint those blocks. You're going to find out how to find more intrepid commitment to your evolution and your journey within your business. And thirdly, we're going to determine how you're going to move forward in 2020, and you will leave that workshop with your personalized breakout strategy for 2020, a new decade. So that is my invitation to you. It is the place to start. Everything starts with the decision that you are going to break out from where you are at, and 2020 is the year that you are making your bid for freedom. I am there to support you by way of that workshop and the Rebel Heart Club Mastermind if you are ready to make more intrepid commitment to your evolutionary journey and to have my support and the support of the fellow Rebel Hearts to support you moving forward in the new decade that's coming. So much gratitude for you listening to She Rebel Radio. As I said, don't forget to leave us a review if you've loved what you've heard and the episode so far, and I look forward to sharing more with you next week.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced and hosted by women's advocate and coach Lulu Mims. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can find Lulu Mims on Facebook and LinkedIn at Lulu Mims and on Instagram at LuluMims_biz. Until next week, keep rebelling against the rules and designing success your way.